This unexpected news today caused Tesla stock and the broader markets to rip higher after that initial gap down we seen in pre-market, hitting lows in regular trading in about 30 minutes or so of the start of trading, down over 0.5% on the NASDAQ. It was this specific news. Bill Ackman pinned this to his X account. It has been seen by 2.1 million people, and the algorithms reacted aggressively. He says, "We covered our bond short." He says there's too much risk in the world to remain short bonds at current long-term rates. The economy is slowing faster than recent data suggest. You might be wondering, why was this so positive for the markets today? And rightfully so. Not a lot of people understand bonds, but if you do understand bonds, you know the bond market is much larger than the stock market. A lot of people think stocks are more important than bonds. Absolutely not true. The bonds affect stocks, not stocks affect bonds. So why this happened today? Think about it like a dividend stock, okay? If you buy a $100 dividend stock that pays you $5 a year, that dividend stock pays you 5%. If nobody wants to own that dividend stock, like nobody has wanted to own the bonds, well, say if that dividend stock is now $50, it still pays you $5. It's now a 10% yielding dividend stock. Well, that has been the case with TLT. With treasuries, 10, 20, 30-year treasuries, nobody has wanted to own them because this higher for longer narrative, or really higher forever narrative that the Fed has been giving us, it has caused investors to not want to own the bonds. They don't want to take a 3, 4, 5% yield if we're going to be at 5% for a long time, or potentially go to 6, 7, 8, 9, 10% like some people are speculating. This means the economy is doing well, that we're not expecting that many rate cuts. Now that Bill Ackman says he covered his short position, he thinks that people are going to buy the bonds. He thinks because of geopolitical tensions. I've talked about this in so many videos, your head should be spinning. When there is fear, investors will buy bonds, they will buy gold, they will buy safety assets. We've seen that in gold. Gold is up 10% since this Israeli conflict started. Bonds, well, not so much. Bonds actually today in the beginning of trading hit a new low, a multi-year, 10-plus year low, with the 10-year treasury rising over 5%. Bill Ackman is suggesting that maybe the economy is slowing faster than the data supports. Maybe the Fed will need to cut rates sooner than what the markets are expecting. That's good for bonds. That's driving yields lower today, driving stocks higher. But don't be confused, because this sounds like bad news, and it is, right? A recession coming sooner, geopolitical risks and tensions of a larger conflict in the Middle East. That's not good in the midterm, or depending on how fast these two things develop. The economy's slowing, how fast does that happen? Does it happen in the data we get this week, or does it take a month or two? What about this Israeli-Middle East conflict? Does it escalate within the next couple of days, or does it take weeks, right? Short term, markets are reacting to bond yields falling. But this is not good. This is not what you want to see markets moving higher on. Not exactly the greatest news. So don't be faked out here. This move higher in stocks is probably not going to last if it's happening because of bad news. 30-year treasury yields are down about 10 basis points today, and your 10-year treasury yields are down about 8.5 basis points. So solely based on the algos here, that's exciting for your algorithms. But again, do not be confused, because this move is not going to last if we're heading into a recession, or at least the economy is slowing, like Bill Ackman says, or there's so much geopolitical risk that investors buy the bonds. The last time the bonds were seen as this flight to safety was the Rona, and that was obviously initially not a great period of time for the markets. Here in this video, we're going to get into everything you need to know about our markets besides that very important situation that we just went over, all of your Tesla stock news, what the option activity looks like. Oh boy, people are plowing money into bullish Tesla positions. You really can't make this up. We're going to get into a technical outlook for Tesla, discuss what I think is coming next, and much more. So, do me a favor. Do yourself a favor. Hit that subscribe button. Subscribing is, well, the best prescription for a complication is a subscription. So it's clinically proven to hit that subscribe button. It should help you make more money and reach financial freedom as quickly as possible. At the very least, stay up to date with what's going on in our markets each and every single day. Now, hit that like button, share this video with a friend that needs to hear it. Without any further ado, let's get into it. Let's start with that very bullish option activity for Tesla stock. Tesla is up about 1% at the time of recording this video. And besides just long-term treasury yields falling, the option activity also tells you quite a bit. You have seen 936 orders today, totaling about $401 million with a positive order value of 72%. This is a very bullish day for Tesla. As I said over the weekend, you were likely to get a bounce in Tesla stock at some point this week. I said probably in the beginning of the week because we have so much economic data that could prove to be negative for our markets later this week, really on Wednesday and Thursday, including that all expected GDP report, which is just too high relative to what is normal, right? There's really no good outcome there. Either GDP is way too hot, the Fed might need to raise rates again, or GDP comes in low and everyone had false expectations of how strong the economy was. I really don't see a good end of this week, but we do have earnings as well that will be important, that will help drive Tesla stock. But I really want to make sure all of you guys understand this. As longer term treasury yields come down, that takes less pressure, or more pressure, I should say, off of potential borrowers that are looking to finance a vehicle, to finance a house, to finance basically anything. So these treasury yields falling are specifically bullish for Tesla. If we do get economic weakness, like Bill Ackman says, if there is a flight to safety in treasuries, you would imagine at that point the Fed would need to cut rates at some degree, maybe not to zero, but would have to cut rates in some form, and that would probably be bullish for Tesla as well. And Tesla would probably raise prices because Tesla, and specifically Elon, made it very clear on the last earnings call. That's the one thing that really stuck out to me that I walked away with, is it's not about the price of the vehicle, it's about the monthly payment. So if rates keep going higher, well, prices are probably going to go lower to keep that $700 monthly payment in that range where people can actually afford to get a new Tesla. But if rates do go down, Tesla could actually raise prices and keep the payment the same. That is a big checkmate that I think a lot of people are not looking forward to in 2024. I don't even think it's on anyone's radar because Tesla's been cutting prices almost on a monthly basis. But that's something I think you could just have in your back pocket to know, hey, Tesla might actually raise prices in 2024 if the economy does slip, if the Fed does cut rates. Let's now get into all of your Tesla stock news that you need to know for today. We are getting a little bit of video footage from Elon Musk and someone in the back seat of that F1 race in Austin. Look at the crowd. I don't know if they're excited for Elon or excited for the Cybertruck or both, but just in the Snapchat, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 phones in just this one little snapshot of this video. Yeah, I would say probably both. Cybertruck is going to have so much attention, it's going to be ridiculous. But we're getting a little bit better images of the inside of the Cybertruck, and that is definitely going to be an experience. That white that you can see, it's hard to see right there. It looks kind of gray, the dash too. But on this side, that white looks really cool. And that's even something Sawyer Merritt points out. Pretty dang cool. Looks like you have the red stitching. Not sure if that's ambient lighting or not. It might be ambient lighting. So that is also another pretty cool feature that you can see just from this video. Elon Musk confirms that they will do large-scale advertising once they figure out what works best, according to Elon. This is something that I think is also underappreciated. I used to talk about this more before Tesla ever advertised. Now Tesla is advertising. I personally don't think they're advertising the best possible way. The demographic, the geographic that needs to hear about Teslas is someone like my mother that knows nothing about Teslas at all. I live in Michigan, so like GM, Ford, Stellantis, those vehicles are everywhere. You don't see Teslas all too often. She has no idea how much a Tesla is, what comes in a Tesla. She don't even know there's like a front, tablet in there that you could do cool things on. Like, nobody that I know has any idea of any of these things. But what do I find in common with all of them? They all watch TV. They all have, Spectrum or Comcast or, Dish or all these other cable providers. That's where the money is in advertising. I'm sure it's a little bit more expensive. I get it. But that's where you actually inform the masses that are not on the internet as much, that are not on Twitter, that are not on YouTube as much. I don't really think you need to preach to those people. It's, again, people like my mother that are big TV watchers, and everyone I basically know that knows nothing about Teslas, they all watch TV. Nonetheless, I do think once Elon and Tesla figures out TV ads are definitely the best way to go, that's probably going to boost Tesla's sales dramatically. The Tesla Model 3 all-wheel drive found to be the least stolen vehicle in the US, followed right behind with the Model Y that comes in second place. The US Justice Department has sought documents and issued subpoenas to Tesla as it scrutinizes the automaker's driver assistance system, autopilot, and vehicle driving range, among other issues. The company said on Monday, "This sounds bad, subpoenas, but as you can see today, it's not having an effect on Tesla stock, and it won't unless this were to be some huge issue of fraud, which would just be unprecedented and obviously my bias speaking, not true." Point is, something you really don't have to worry about. Again, although this does sound like a really negative, scary headline. Fisker has adjusted prices as EV market sees signs of demand slowdown. It looks like they have cut their prices by about 11% on their higher end models, and on their lower end models, they actually raised prices a little bit. Tesla says its capital expenditure for 2023 would exceed the $7 billion to $9 billion target it had laid out earlier this year as it ramps up output at its factories and gears up to roll out new models. The company's spending is, however, expected to return to the $7 billion to $9 billion range in the next 2 years, a regulatory filing showed. Now, in this market environment, maybe spending more money than you thought is not going to be great. We've already seen that in Tesla earnings, so this is not really a big shocker. Tesla is aggressively investing in R&D, research and development, as well as just expanding operations. This is good news, actually, especially if there is this demand slowdown in EVs. Just wait until the Fed starts to cut rates. Tesla is going to be in the best possible position to capitalize from this. New Model 3 deliveries have begun today in the Netherlands, and boy does that look sexy. New Tesla Model 3 deliveries are also kicking off over in Germany. The UAW on Monday ordered 6,800 UAW workers to strike at Stellantis' largest assembly plant, halting output of the automaker's very profitable Ram 1500 pickup truck. More than 40,000 UAW workers are now on strike. Indian Minister for Road Transport and Highways said today that Tesla must oblige to certain non-negotiables before entering India to sell its vehicles. Who knows what these non-negotiables would be, but India is such a large market that getting into India would be a massive catalyst for Tesla, and something that I think is coming at some point down the line. Do I think it's going to be super soon? Maybe not. Could it be? Yeah, and that's something that's kind of a wild card, probably at some point in 2024, if not 2025. that would give Tesla stock quite the upside. Here's a Cybertruck using a Tesla V4 supercharger. Let's now give you a Middle East conflict update. As you know, this is your single biggest potential catalyst that could give the markets downside of 10, 15, 20, 30, 40%, depending on the severity, the scope and size, and the implication on economic activity and oil. None of that is going to be good if you do see that conflict get worse. Hezbollah has announced the elimination of 3 additional fighters, bringing the total loss to 30 since the Israeli war against Hamas began. Lieutenant General James Glenn, the former commander of U.S. Marine Forces Special Operations Command, as well as several other high-level U.S. military officers, are now reported to have arrived recently in Israel at the order of the Biden administration to assist in the advisory of the Israeli Defense Force during upcoming operations in the Gaza Strip and throughout the region. In a little bit of good news, although the markets really didn't react positively to this, Hamas is reportedly prepared to release at least 50 dual citizen hostages to the International Red Cross in southern Gaza following negotiations between the terror organization and Qatar. According to the Red Cross, once they have custody of the hostages, they will be turned over to Israeli forces along the border with the Gaza Strip in order to be reunited with their families. According to the latest Google Trend data, Model 3 and Model Y searches are starting to see an uptick in volume, as well as the Model S and the Model X. Maybe the earnings call and the publicity that received is having a positive effect to some of the search results and subsequently the Google Trends data. Either way, more people are searching for Tesla vehicles than pretty much any other time before. The AI investor sentiment is pretty even here, 34.1% bullish, 31.3% neutral, and 34.6% bearish. So a little bit more on the bearish side, but this can obviously change day by day, and I'm sure the numbers look a little bit more bearish today than the last report we got, which was October 18th. Your 10 and 2-year yield curve inversion is continuing to uninvert here today. Now you're only inverted by 14 basis points. If we pull this chart out so you guys can really see the significance of this, normally the uninversion is not the problem. It's the steepening of the yield curve, which happens right before you go into a recession. Back in just June, you were inverted 1.06%. Now you're almost uninverted. This is a bear steepening. Normally what causes this steepening of the yield curve, once you're inverted, it begins to steepen and become normal, is when expectations are the Fed is about to start cutting rates. That causes your short-term treasuries, your 2-year treasury, to fall and your longer-term treasury yields to stay higher. This uninversion is happening because the 2-year treasury is staying roughly the same, coming down a little bit, but your 10-year treasury yield is rising so much. This is really just showing you something could be about to break out there. This is one of the most reliable indicators of a recession. It's never been wrong. It's 8 for 8 in its history. If it's wrong, this will be the first time it is wrong ever since the creation of this. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think about this down below in the comment section. As far as Tesla stock, at the time of recording this video, Tesla is at $212.87. At one point today, you hit a low of $202.51. So you've seen a sharp bounce back from the lows, and over $10 move off of your lows. That is just truly impressive in and of itself. It looks like you found a lot of resistance around this 200-day moving average at $215.18. This is widely to be expected, considering the 200-day moving average is so important. The fact that you did find resistance there probably sets you up for more downside to come in Tesla stock. I don't think it's going to be a Tesla stock specific event though. If we do get downside for Tesla from here, bigger downside, it's probably because the broader markets are falling themselves kind of into the trading day. You're kind of getting a little bit of that. You've been trending downwards ever since you did hit the high about midpoint of the day today. And there's a lot of upcoming events. There's earnings upcoming tomorrow. Google, Microsoft, those are really going to be important earnings for our markets. And then Amazon on Thursday. Now, if you guys want to come trade some of these earnings with us live in real time, I do send out all of my alerts. Link down below in the description of this video. But nonetheless, that's neither here or there. There's probably more downside left to go for Tesla, but I do think Tesla is in a really good position as far as their actual business, their stock, not in the greatest position, but like we've talked about before, Tesla stock could easily fall to that 180, 190 level. That's almost expected from me at this point over the next couple of days or weeks. And then your 150 or even your 130 level could be a possibility if the markets did get really bad here in the, short midterm, 1 to 3 months down the line. If you look at the RSI is currently at 27.91. This does support, even though we've seen a bounce today, you are likely to see an even bigger bounce coming, possibly over the next couple of days or so. It's obviously hard to say, but I mean, that's what I expect based on history. Anytime you get Tesla to your 30 level on the RSI, you tend to get a very big bounce back, and I don't think this time is going to be any different. The MACD is also pretty bearish now, really starting to curl down. A couple more sideways or down days for Tesla, and the MACD is not going to be in the greatest spot at all, guys. So that is going to go ahead and do it for this video. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, source your comments, questions, or concerns down below in the comment section. Again, if you guys want to come trade with us live in real time, every time I send out trade alerts, trade ideas, link down below in the description of this video. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.